Live from the Export Beer Garden studios, and as always, brought to you by Export Ultra, the beer for here. This is the Agenda podcast for the 25th of November.
The Agenda Podcast, the home of sporting nonsense and claptrap. Brought to you by Export Ultra.
Good morning and welcome along to the Monday Agenda. James McOnie.
Oh, kia ora. How's it going, G Lane? It's been a day. How was your golf?
The golf is actually not too bad. I apologise for abandoning you for the last 2 minutes of that game, but I basically handbraked the car outside the tee box and jumped out of the car and teed off. That's how on the buzzer I was for an 11:30 tee off.
When you left, I thought, it's just golf, and then I thought, no, you need to make your tee time because then you can't count your score and you're screwed. And asking the next group if you can tee off with them is just
awkward.
It is awkward.
It is
no
awkward.
one wants it.
So no, I managed to get on there. That was good. But we played a game of cricket on Friday night, James. I don't know if you know, the ACC 11 donned our Reds down in Hamilton.
I know they went to your old school.
Yes,
and found a shot of you with your ball sack out.
Yeah, my ball sack was not out. And that's.
I felt like I could see it. Maybe it's just one of those things that you expect to see because you were captaining the first 15 by the looks of things.
Yeah, you see what you want to see.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think my testicle was hanging out. It was a very blurred photo anyway.
It was definitely bush.
Yeah, there was a bit of bush, a little bit of bush hanging out. But we remained defeated. The ACC 11. We did what we came to do, as Wells said this morning on the Hauraki Breakfast Show. That's what we're there for. We're pretty much to make other people feel good about themselves. And we travel the country. We're like the Washington Wizards. We just go and
stink up the joint wherever you go.
Stink up the joint. We thought we'd set a pretty competitive total, 170 off 20 overs. But they last over, I may have leaked 12 runs off my last two balls of my over, and then tossed the ball to Mania Stewart and said, finish them off, mate. They needed 5 to win off the last over.
Oh, that's a tough one for Mania.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I felt bad for him, but then I didn't.
Was he bowling autumn leaves?
He bowls a stock wrong, and he should have got a stumping.
He's got a nice selection, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Mania?
but he can't bowl leg spin. He bowls wrong-uns the whole time.
And because I've seen him bowl in the office, and it is weird, isn't it? Yeah,
it is strange. And he beat one of these batsmen who was quite a handy batsman. All ends up, should have got a stumping. Harry Young, unfortunately, bobbled the ball. But we were talking about it on the way home, and Mania, it's the most convoluted way of him bowling off spin.
Yeah.
Because he can't bowl a leg spinner. He can only bowl wrong-uns. So he's got the most roundabout way of coming in and bowling off spin.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
Because you're pretty much twisting your wrist, you're being a little contortionist in some ways just to get this really nice little stock off spin. Yeah, leggies are the way to go. I remember playing cricket with my dad late, and when I was maybe late 20s, come back from overseas, never really played cricket with him much, and he had a natural leg spin action. I was like, what the hell? You can actually bowl, because, when Shane Warne turned up, we were all trying to bowl leg spin.
Yeah.
Everybody was obsessed with it. But let's go back to the issue at hand here. The ACC 11 is so shit that I have, and I've not been a part of any of those defeats, right?
Well, didn't you play the one out in Eden Park number 2? I think you pulled.
I got injured. I pulled my calf.
Yes.
I blew a calf.
Yes. So you were.
It was quite confronting for everybody.
So you have been involved.
I have been involved. Yeah. Okay, I've been involved in one of those.
Stunk up one of the losses.
Yeah, I really stunk it up. Plus, you also brought in that props boy who bowled off a fucking massive long run up, bowling about 140. I was like, what the hell? I was keeping. I was expecting just taking in some easy ones. It was all I could do from not conceding, 50 buys from his express pace. Anyway, yeah, it's so bad now. I'm offering my services as coach. I expected them to be turned down, but I am offering my services as coach. We
need a lot more than coaching, I think. I think it goes a lot deeper.
I'm not really going to be the coach. I plan to bring along a proper cricketer. So if you make me coach, I'll sort of Alex Ferguson this thing and say I'll oversee it.
Oh, I see.
And here's someone who knows about cricket.
Okay.
They're going to sort you out.
So you're going to be it's like director of rugby kind of thing.
Yeah.
Director of the ACC
Pretty much.
11. We did have one very good recruit in Riley McCullum. So he opened the batting for the ACC 11. Actually, potentially one of the best sportsmen or athletes that have donned the ACC uniform.
I'd say probably the best.
Yeah, and he hit his first 3 deliveries. He hit for, I think it was 2 4s and a 6. It was quite impressive. And I think he retired out fairly early. He had to retire at 30. He got that pretty quickly. And then I tossed him the ball and I said, I can roll the arm over. He goes, what do you want, spin or pace? And I was like, it's a 2-piece white ball. Pace, mate. Pace. And so he just
He came in,
showed a bit of heat. But yeah, like I was saying, in the end, we lost quite convincingly. In the end,
that's Brendan McCullum's son, is it?
Yes, it is. Yep.
And is he playing in the Black Clash again?
No, he's not. He hasn't had the call up because then McOnie said, you know why? It's because you got Brian Lara out. So you can't turn up to the Black Clash and get the draw card and get him out. And he's
ruined everything.
And he goes, I wasn't even trying. He was just rubbish. So it's not my fault. And I said, but they haven't called, have they? He said, nah, they haven't called. So unfortunately, not this year. They said maybe next year we can get Riley in.
The Brian Lara thing was so sad, watching a legend, how the mighty have fallen, whatever you want to say. And then he had to say, I'm 56 years old and all this sort of stuff as he walked off. I was like, Brian.
Yeah. But hopefully the Universe bosses, he'll be a bit better. He's only recently retired.
No, he'll be smashing.
Yeah, he'll be good. And I tell you who's absolutely crapping themselves. And that is all the left arm spinners in the cricket team. So you got your Dan Vittori. I think Jason Spice is in the rugby team, but they're terrified because he is just going to gobble up those left arm orthodox spinners and deposit them onto the bank at Hagley Oval. Still tickets available for the Party Zone if you want to go there. Text party to 3236 for that one. So yesterday morning, myself and yourself, James McOnie, we came in nice and early to commentate the last All Blacks game of the year against Italy in Turin. And have you got one word to describe this match?
Bollocks. It was so bad. It was probably the worst game of rugby I'd seen in a long time. I don't know who's to blame. Like sometimes you're just going, what happened here? Because it was like a black hole opened up and sucked out all the talent and all the entertainment and said, this is what we're giving you, which is just an absolute offering of dog turds. It was so bad.
It was an interesting morning because the first half I thought, okay, it's cold, it's 1 degree or whatever, not that that's an excuse. Paul Sevu-Reece had to put rugby socks on his hands in the crowd. Sevu Reece, that's how cold it was. And I thought after halftime we were leading 17-6 at halftime, and I thought, this will probably blow out in the second half. It'll free up and loosen up. And no points were scored in the first 30 minutes of the second half. It was still 17 points to 6. And it was just the most uninspiring game I've watched for quite some time, and I found it very difficult to get in behind it.
I also think that any of the top 4 NPC teams would beat that Italy team.
They couldn't catch it, could they?
No.
Every time they got possession, they'd drop it. But then again, we weren't overly clinical either.
You'd have to have a good scrum, so I think Welly would beat them. The champions, I think Bay of Plenty would beat them, and probably Taranaki/Waikato would beat them.
Would roll the Italians.
I mean, maybe that's unfair, but anyway, it was just like they did bring on a Jake Paul lookalike who was. I think Jake Paul was in better condition than that guy.
Yeah, it was a striking resemblance to Jake Paul. And like I said, I'm embarrassed to know what Jake Paul looks like, but I do after that Tyson fight.
It's annoying because you just wanted there to be some tries, some kind of like some flow to it. But I'm actually going to pin the blame on George Michael, the referee, because it's his 8th game, so it was like work experience.
Yeah.
But it was more the fact that he'd ping players, like he made some really good calls. Like he did, didn't refuse to send Patrick Tupelo to Evan Charlton to the bin because he said, no, it's fine, chill out. But then every single ruck, there were Italians lying all over the ball, trying to slap the ball back and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, not slap the ball back, but slap the ball back.
Not ball bags.
Raking it back.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, that's a penalty. Like we've all had teams where we've seen our players get binned for that kind of bullshit, and he's just going, that's just every single ruck, fine. And I think that's what stopped the All Blacks from getting any sort of momentum.
And the interesting, the croc roll. I've heard of the neck roll, but dog roll got done for a croc roll.
Did you? I knew that was somewhere in the laws, but it happens so often. It seems to be the standard way of cleaning someone out, because the alternative is, like, I actually think a croc roll is better than, where someone is standing trying to win the ball and someone just collides, smashes into them.
Into the back of their head.
Yeah, the back of their head, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is fucking bullshit, man. Like, rugby has massive problems at the breakdown. How do you actually clean someone out? It's like a pat a cake sort of thing? Or what is it? Because I actually don't like those clean outs where somebody's just standing prone, because you're not earning your hit there.
No.
They're stuck in the mud, kind of, their feet are jammed between other people's players, and they just look up and see this massive unit
come steaming out.
It's like, oh my God. So whatever World Rugby does to the laws, I sort of feel like the breakdown's still going to be crappy.
So that's the end of the All Blacks season. Razors season, 1 loss on the Northern Tour. You would have taken that at the start? Yeah,
it's only 1 point loss. So I was on News Talk ZB yesterday, and I gave it a B. Everyone was giving, this is Razors year, everyone was giving it a C, but I thought it was a B, because it's only that 1 point loss that stopped it from being an incredible tour, Northern Tour. And then, South Africa got the better of the All Blacks, but that's it, really.
Yeah.
So it's a B in my books.
A B.
Oh, it is a rebuild year. You have to admit that. I mean, it's, you lose all those guys like Retallick, Whitelock, Aaron Smith. I know that we've probably kept a lot of talent, but he's brought some guys through, Razor, like Wallace Satiti.
Yeah.
And people like Basilio Tosi, and no one was talking about him a year ago.
Yeah, and also good to see Tamaiti Williams as well. I think he had a great tour.
He did, solidify his spot, right?
Yeah, and things like getting Peter Luckeye in there after his Super Rugby season. You're right, though. If 1 year you're going to lose a whole lot of games, it's this one.
It's the
first year after the World Cup, and you've got another 3 years to prepare for the World Cup that's going to be in Aussie. It's pretty much a home World Cup, really, if it's going to be in Aussie, close to home. So, yeah, and I quite like the fact that we lost a few games. Kind of brings out proper rugby fans and proper All Black fans when we're losing some, because you got something to cheer about and someone to get behind.
I much prefer this landscape of World Rugby. It's way better. We have to forget about that stupid 80 to 90% win record.
Yeah.
That's gone. It's in the past. Remember, South Africa had that win record before rugby turned pro, and we got our act together a lot quicker and overtook them.
Yeah.
So it was actually South Africa's kind of, they were the big alpha for almost a century. Well, I mean, they were, I think the All Blacks only beat them in one series or something until rugby turned pro.
Yeah.
So it was, anyway, I guess what I'm saying is everything's changed. It's for the better. Now there's no foregone conclusions. If you go to an All Blacks game and you Kathmandu black puffer, you have to frickin' make some noise. Otherwise, get the fuck out of the stadium, because we don't want your boring, average, middle of the road. Oh, the All Blacks normally win by 20. I remember when blah, blah, blah. And, it's like, it's like, I don't give a fuck. This is like, you need to be a fan. And that means, cheering for them when times are tough.
That's exactly right. When times are tough, when they're down. Like the prime example, I always bang on about it, when they were losing to Argentina at the Cake Tin. And it was at that moment, their last 10 minutes, they were still in the game. That's when the crowd needed to get behind them. Instead, they got punished with Avicii. And then someone did a Mexican wave. It's like, fuck, just get behind the team.
What is that Avicii song? Go back to that.
That one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, that one. Yeah,
I went a bit high then, but that Avicii song. And it was like, why are you playing that? Why are you playing that to get behind the All Blacks? It's like, fucking hell. Anyway, but Auckland FC have got a good example. Same with the Phoenix around just letting the fans go for it.
R.I.P. Avicii as well.
Yes,
But I know Auckland FC, let's just see if I like what I'm seeing from the Port. I love the Yellow Fever. These are the role models that New Zealand sports needs, and they've pretty much already, bloody Auckland FC, you can't stop winning. Before we move on from the rugby, though, Severed Peace wearing socks on his hands. in the stand. We need to talk about this.
Because it's ruined a moment.
It has ruined the moment. Sam Cane, big applause. He's subbed off, final All Blacks test. They pan to the crowd, and there's Geordie Barrett, who I'm looking at, and you and Joe Jury are absolutely cracking up. I'm going, what's wrong? I mean, Geordie's, it's not that bad. And you're going, Severed Piece has got gloves on his hands. Socks on his hands. Sorry, Severed Piece has got socks on his hands, and you're just going, this is weird, man. Like, there must be mittens and gloves in the Adidas range.
Surely. But even if there isn't, surely there was a shop or a tourist shop. It's in Turin. It's in the base of the Alps. There'll be ski shops. But
it would be.
He was obviously so cold in the stands, sitting with all the dirties up in the stand. And so he's got a pair of playing socks, but the thing is, he's clapping like a seal. So he's got the socks on, and he's clapping Sam Cane off with his socks.
And the toes are flopping around, and there's a lot of floppage.
But forever, Sam Cane's final moments in an All Black jersey will forever be remembered with Severed Piece with socks on his hands.
Can you imagine one of those sort of, like one of our Sky Sport documentaries where they try and have that moment with the music, bit of piano, and then they show the crowd. Arr, arr, arr. And for old Sevu Reece we're talking about, he had socks on his hands. Why? Because it was cold and nobody had gloves. That's all I can imagine was the reason why. And also, I think Razor was wearing I think Razor was using, I think that was chewing gum, not a vape.
Oh yeah, it looked like he was ripping a vape. It looked like he was ripping a USB, but it was, you're right, it was chewing gum. He was putting chewing gum in his mouth.
He was biting, and there's a big difference between sucking and biting, as we all know.
Yes. Yep.
Massive difference.
Yep. We'll take a quick break, James, and we'll be back with a bit of cricky. Right. Are you watching any of this India-Aussie series?
Not enough of it. I need to watch more, but I do always glance at the scoreboard. Can I glance right now?
You can glance right now. It is... So on day one, India get rolled for 150, and you could imagine the dingoes crowing. The dingoes were crowing about how great they are, how rubbish India are, how they're going to clean sweep them. Aussie then get rolled for 100. They win 70 for 9. They get rolled for 100. Then India stroll back out and score 487 for 6 declared. Kohli's got a century in there. And now they've set Aussie a world record target of over 500 to win the test with 2 days remaining over in Perth, and they are 12 for 3.
It's unbelievable because I'm sure I saw a typo, or maybe my eyes are rooted, but I thought they were 120 for 3. But 12 for 3 is incredible. Bumrah 2 LBWs. This is what I love. You're not getting 2 LBWs in Australia back in the 80s because they would never give LBWs. No. Everybody said used to complain about Pakistani umpires. Remember when England went there and had a big cry? But Aussie umpires, way worse. They would never give an LBW. I remember Chris Cairns trapping Justin Langer first over. Absolutely plumb. They're not giving it first over. Don't even try it. They might give him out once he's gone past 70. Yeah. Or whatever.
Can you remember Danny Morrison v. Michael Whitney?
Yes.
Oh my God. He walked across his stumps, stood in front of his stumps, and didn't give him out. Yeah. And it was for win the test match too.
And the commentators there were pathetic as well. They should have been saying this is an embarrassment. Because that's the difference. I think Kiwis would go, or at least acknowledge that's a bad one.
We had Fred Goodall though.
Yeah, he was a bit of a homer, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was our version of all of their umpires. Yeah. He never gave anything.
Except for paddles.
But he'd give paddles everything. Anything he wanted. Anything he wanted.
R.I.P. Fred Goodall. We do love Fred, but the thing about it is I think everybody acknowledged that, we made fun of that whole thing. Remember? There was McPhail Gadsby did a really awesome sketch
on
Mr. Goodall.
Goodall.
They did a sort of calypso number, Caribbean number after the
Colin Croft.
Colin Croft elbowed him or shoulder charged him as he came into bowl.
I don't think Fred Goodall ever recovered from Jeremy Wells walking in on him having a poo at the Basin Reserve.
Yeah.
So it was up in the R.A. Vance stand, and I mean, admittedly, umpire Fred Goodall didn't lock the stall door, and Jerry just burst in, and there he was, just pants down, mid ablution. Jerry came out, and he goes, "Oh God, I've got something great to tell you. I've just walked in on Fred Goodall doing a poo."
But also, possibly the worst person to have walk in on you, because he's going to milk that story for all of time. Like that's been, I don't know, 30 years of telling that story, but maybe at least 20 years of it.
But also he'd be the only one who recognised Fred Goodall. So everyone else would go, "Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry."
I know, exactly.
Yeah, so no one would know.
It's a double whammy. You get the biggest cricket nerd we know walking in on you. He's got his own radio show and TV show, and he loves talking about cricket. Plus, he's a commentator here at the ACC. That story is going to get aired out and now that Fred Goodall passed away, I think in 2015, he doesn't have to hear the story or something. So yeah,
no, I think it must have been about 2014 when it occurred. It was at the Basin. Yeah, it was at the we were commentating at the Basin. So he wasn't long for this world, I don't think, when he walked in there.
Who got all of India's runs then?
Kohli got a 100.
Damn it, he was in a slump.
Yeah, not anymore. He loved, and the wicket is it's nice and flat and bouncy. It flattened out. Day one, it was a nightmare, and now it's flattened out. So
that's annoying because he was in a massive slump.
Yeah, I know. Well, now we can't post that meme of him, the Tiger King meme.
But also, I keep an eye on the averages of the Fab Four. So, it's Kohli, Joe Root, Kane Williamson, and Steve Smith. And Smith's average is at the top, but he's in a bit of a slump.
No, he's got a golden duck in the first innings.
Exactly. He's coming down. And then I think Joe Root is just above 50. Kane's in second place, but Kohli was down in the late 40s, and I was happy with that.
Yeah. I mean,
anyway,
it's not good for us though in our World Test Championship. This is the problem. So we need Australia to win this series over India. We can only let India win one game if we've got any chance of being in the World Test Championship final. Well, first of all, we've got to beat England 3-0. So that's the first challenge. But we've also got Australia have to beat India in this series. So there's all sorts on the line. But it's very hard getting in behind Australia. I'm torn. I don't know who to support.
You're Natalie and Bruglia.
Yeah.
Nothing's right. You're torn. I do look at the batting lineup and I just go, it's not actually, I mean, I know Labuschagne had this incredible start to his career. Labuschagne.
He's bowling pace now. Did you see that?
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he reckons he can bowl 140 kilometres an hour.
Oh, so he's trying to come in and be the all-rounder for them. But they've got Mitchell Marsh doing exactly the same thing. Okay. So he wants the ball in hand and to bowl and to bend his back a little bit. Okay, fine. McSweeney, never heard of him. And then you've got Khawaja up the top. But, I mean, I don't know. It's just...
Yeah, he didn't like Bumrah. He didn't like facing Bumrah Khawaja. He was all over the place in that first innings.
Awesome.
Hated it. Anyway, speaking of cricket, Thursday, so in 3 days' time, the Black Caps play England down at Hagley Oval. And thanks to the great New Zealanders at Resine and Max Verstappen, the ACC are going to have live and free coverage on iHeartradio each and every day, starting at 11 a.m. But we've also introduced a new thing, James, that we'd be interested in. We've got a daily quiz, a cricket quiz on the iHeartradio app, which will send you a quiz every morning and for you to answer. And each week we've got a prize to give away, which is going to be a signed New Zealand Black Caps test shirt, plus a double pass to any game in New Zealand for the summer of cricket. All you do is text quiz to 3236 to sign up. It's called Cricket Mind. It's going to be good. But speaking of cricket, something in the weekend caught our attention. It was Zimbabwean T10 League. Now, and I haven't heard of it either, but it was a third umpire that got caught doing something else. And this is him trying to fumble his way through the third umpire process.
Mm-hmm. Pitched outside, and I think James Vince has reviewed it straight away.
10 seconds. Is it a review?
Yes, a review.
Okay, review. Sorry, thank you. I'll take the front foot first.
Step off one and roll off one.
Right, what am I actually looking for? LBW? Let's have a look. Yeah, mate, I know, thanks. I was doing something else. Okay, so...
Doom scrolling motherfucker.
No.
Yeah, doom scrolling. I mean, we could say porn, but I feel like he sounds like classic doom scroller.
Yeah, someone compared him to Alan Partridge. Like, is Alan Partridge doing the third umpire?
Yeah.
He's like, what are we looking for? What are we looking for? I love how his mic's hot and he's trying to stumble through.
Where?
What? LBW? What? Oh,
sorry, I was doing something else.
Oh, God. Oh.
Mind you, probably no worse than that. Remember that the English third umpire who over in the Adelaide pink ball test
could
said
be anything.
The mark on the back could be anything. It's like, what are you talking about?
That could be anything.
That could be anything. That mark on the bat.
Was that Illingworth? Was that Illingworth?
No,
Was
it was.
no.
I'll remember the name if you scroll through a few English umpires.
There was Illingworth. There's
The name I'm thinking about is
not Kettleborough.
Was there a
Not Kettleborough, not Illingsworth.
Was there a Pierce of some kind or a?
Yeah, that could be anything. It was a real wonder. Hey, we'll take another quick short break and we'll be back with some news from Max Verstappen from Vegas. Right, the Vegas Grand Prix was on last night. James, did you catch any of that?
No, what happened?
Well, Verstappen, he came fifth, but that was enough for him to sew up his fourth straight Formula One driver's title. Mm-hmm. George Russell came first and Sir Lewis Hamilton came second. It was pretty funny, actually. George Russell was pretty stoked to win, and he was due to fly out that night out of Vegas, and he was on stage. He goes, "I've cancelled my flight. I'm going to tear Vegas a new one. Get ready to party." So he just stayed on and partied all night in Vegas. I love the Vegas Grand Prix because it is the biggest circus you'll ever see. Liam Lawson shat the bed a little bit. He ended up coming 16th, unfortunately. He had to pit in the last 10 laps, which sent him way down the pecking order, which is a shame because I had money on him beating Tsunoda, which is disappointing. He was paying $2 to beat Tsunoda, his teammate.
Right.
And he shat the bed.
No, that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, Tsunoda came.
Because he's talking a big game right now.
He is. And he's only got a few more races to try and prove himself to get in that seat next to Verstappen for next year, which is the rumour. So, yeah. And, hey, you touched on it, Auckland FC, top of the table, 4 wins from 4. And now they've got 2 home games coming up.
Yeah, including another derby with Wellington Phoenix, who won as well. Like, Wellington Phoenix are looking just as good, actually.
How good do we dare to dream that an A-League final
Why not?
could be played at Go Hard Mount Smart between Auckland FC and the Phoenix?
The Phoenix, I think the chances are good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any other team that's necessarily much better. The Melbourne Victory played against Wellington Phoenix last night. The Victory are kind of the top of the table team anyway. They were up there. And they got taken down. They got taken down by Wellington with Marco Rojas back, the Kiwi Messi back in the team. And he laid the ball on for Costa Barbarouses. And honestly, cost of living crisis is absolutely smashing it. He is... It's going up and up and up, that cost of living crisis. And he's just a different man back in Wellington. You can tell he's around his family. He walks out at the start of games with holding hands with his daughters. Like, they're kind of like the captains of the team.
Yeah.
They decide
every game does he do that?
Every home game you'll see him. His daughters are out the front of the Phoenix line. It's pretty cool. So I don't know. I think that the Phoenix coach, Chiefy, Giancarlo Italiano, he is a genius.
Can you get any more Italian?
I know. He's Australian, mate.
Is he?
And he's a bloody genius. And then, but Auckland FC have got a pretty good tight-knit. They've got a good mix together. They've assembled some GCs because this guy from Uruguay, Guillermo Mai, he scored the goal yesterday. He's just a good bastard. His favourite song is that For Non-Blondes, what's up, what's going on, I said, hey, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
what's
so,
going on?
Exactly. He loves it. That's his hype song. So I respect him for that. And then they've got this Belgian dude who's pretty cool, and he's like the disruptive midfield guy. He's not going to show out on many highlights, but you need all those sorts of pieces in a football team.
Yeah.
And they've got them G Lane, so yes.
Well,
all Kiwi final.
And there's a pedigree here because Bill Foley's NHL team, the Las Vegas Black Knights. Golden Knights. Sorry, went on to the Stanley Cup final in their first season.
Yes.
So there you go. So he's got a record.
Yep.
It does old big Bill Foley.
And Alex Paulson, the guy who they kind of nabbed away from Wellington Phoenix.
Yeah, it's a great move.
They signed him. Bournemouth signed him. It's part of the Foley family, and then loaned him out to Auckland FC. He hasn't conceded a goal this year.
Clean
sheets all
Clean
round.
sheets.
More that we can say about our teenage years, G Lane.
Oh, absolutely. Don't ever put your kids in navy blue sheets.
No.
Okay, that was a hate crime. That was an absolute hate crime.
The ACC commentary for England this week.
Yes, 11 a.m. Thursday kicks off on iHeartradio.
Right.
So that's gonna be.
Can't wait.
I cannot wait. Actually, I love getting back into the saddle and just watching Test cricket for 5 days in a row. But it'll be interesting to see what pitch they've got down there in Christchurch. Usually she's fairly green, and the first couple of days is pretty spicy. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. So you can join us on Thursday. You pop in for a couple of sessions, James?
Yes, I'd love to. I'm not sure what's going on with Krago as well this week. We've got a couple of shows to put to air, but yeah, I'll be down for a couple of sessions.
Excellent. Okay, well, we'll knock this on the head, and we'll be back tomorrow with another episode of The Agenda.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast, brought to you by Export Ultra. For more episodes, like and follow on iHeartradio or wherever you get your podcasts.